There is a report sitting in a filing cabinet near you right now. It names a dam. It says the dam needs to be fixed. It gives a date, and the date has already passed. America has more than 92,000 dams, nearly 17,000 of them rated high hazard, meaning people die if they fail. This is a list of 10 that were supposed to be repaired years ago. Not one of them was. Today we are counting down 10 American dams where the warning came first, sometimes decades first, and the fix never followed. Ranked not just by how dangerous they are, but by how long the paperwork has been sitting there, promising a repair that keeps sliding into the future. Some of these hold back drinking water for millions. One of them nearly failed on live television. And the one at number 1 was supposed to be finished this year. It won't be done until the next decade. Before we start, if you like the kind of thing that makes you look at the lake behind your town a little differently, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel. And I want to know one thing while you're here. What's the dam upstream of you? The one holding back the water above your county? Drop its name in the comments. Let's get into the list. Number 10. Lake Lure Dam, North Carolina. We begin with the dam that got its warning, ignored it for a decade, and then got tested by a hurricane. Lake Lure Dam was finished in 1926, a 124-foot concrete wall holding back a mountain lake in the Blue Ridge foothills, with a hydroelectric plant humming at its base. And for years, letters arrived at Town Hall. The State Environmental Agency wrote asking for information about the dam's condition. It wrote asking for an emergency action plan, which was more than a year overdue by 2015. The letters went unanswered. A consultant later found little evidence the town had performed necessary maintenance on the dam at all over a long stretch of years. In 2018, the dam landed on the state's high-risk list, and the town began preparing a multi-million-dollar repair project. Then, before that catching up was complete, September 2024 arrived, and with it, Hurricane Helene. Water poured over the top of the dam. Emergency management sent out an alert most people never expect to receive in their lifetime. Dam failure. Imminent. Evacuate to higher ground immediately. Residents of the communities below fled. And the old dam, the one that did not meet modern state safety requirements when the storm hit, held. Barely, with erosion carved into both abutments, but it held. Emergency repairs stretched into 2026. Number 10 is the dam that got lucky and knows it. Number 9, Rapidan Dam, Minnesota. Now the entry that shows you exactly what the end of this road looks like. The Rapidan Dam went up on the Blue Earth River in 1910. By 2002, its foundation was so badly undermined that emergency repairs were needed. More repairs followed in 2010 and 2017. And by 2021, the county that owned it faced the question every aging dam eventually asks, fix me or remove me. 2 feasibility studies were commissioned. Public meetings were held. Feedback came in on both sides. In 2023, the county applied to surrender the dam's federal license. And while the studies were being studied and the process was being processed, the river made the decision itself. In June of 2024, after weeks of rain, the Blue Earth River rose, poured over the dam, and cut a brand new channel around its western side. Officials declared an imminent failure condition. A power substation beside the dam was washed away. And days later, a house that had stood next to that dam for generations, home to the family that ran the little store overlooking it, slid into the river while the country watched the video. The dam partially failed not because nobody knew. It failed while everyone knew, mid-deliberation, with the repair studies still on the table. Number 9 is what we're still deciding looks like when the water stops waiting. Number 8, Livingston Dam, Texas. This one holds back the water supply for Houston. Lake Livingston is one of the largest reservoirs in Texas, impounded by a dam roughly 2.5 miles long, completed in 1969, and its water serves millions of people downstream. In the spring of 2024, historic rains hammered the Trinity River Basin, and the flows tearing over the spillway did something engineers dread. They scoured out the ground beneath it, washing away fill below the spillway apron. On June 28, 2024, the Trinity River Authority declared a potential failure watch, words that put the dam under 24-hour monitoring while emergency crews raced to stabilize the spillway before the next storm. Days later, Hurricane Beryl arrived, and the dam was tested again with the repairs still unfinished. It performed. But the story didn't end there. Recent satellite research examining high-hazard dams in poor or unsatisfactory condition found that the northern portion of Livingston Dam appears to be sinking at roughly 1/3 of an inch per year, while the southern portion rises by about the same amount, a slow-motion twisting that had not been publicly known. The authority maintains the dam's structural integrity is sound and disputes claims of dangerous movement. What is not in dispute is that a dam feeding water plants, serving more than 3 million people in the Houston area, spent the summer of 2024 on a failure watch. Number 8 is the biggest thing on this list that almost nobody outside East Texas has ever heard of. Number 7, Scoggins Dam, Oregon. Here is where the timeline itself becomes the story. Scoggins Dam is a 151-foot earthen dam holding back Henry Hagg Lake, about 25 miles west of Portland, and it sits within reach of the Cascadia subduction zone, the 600-mile offshore fault capable of producing a magnitude 9 earthquake, with violent shaking that could last anywhere from 90 seconds to nearly 7 minutes. The Bureau of Reclamation, which owns the dam, recognized around 2007 that a Cascadia quake could deform the dam and its soft clay foundation badly enough to cause failure. That was nearly 2 decades ago. Since then, field studies, risk analyses, workshops, design alternatives. The plan that emerged: raise the crest about 7 feet, build a massive shear key downstream, demolish and rebuild the spillway, is genuinely ambitious. It also, as of 2024, was still in the environmental review stage, not under construction, not funded to completion, still holding public scoping meetings 17 years after the government identified the risk, on a fault that scientists say is overdue. The dam performs fine on a normal day. Every day in the Northwest is a normal day until the one that isn't. Number 7 is a race between paperwork and plate tectonics, and the paperwork is losing. Number 6, El Capitan Dam, California. San Diego built some of the oldest major dams in America, and El Capitan is what happens when a city quietly stops trusting its own infrastructure. This is a 237-foot rock-filled dam from the 1930s, wedged into a granite gorge on the San Diego River, upstream of Lakeside, Santee, and the city itself. Since 2019, state regulators have downgraded 4 of San Diego's water supply dams from fair to poor condition over fears they could fail in a major earthquake or extraordinary storm, and El Capitan is one of them. The state's answer, while everyone waits for repairs, has been simple and telling: don't let it fill. El Capitan's storage has been restricted to less than half of its capacity. Think about what that means. In one of the driest major cities in the country, during drought years, a giant reservoir has been ordered to stay half empty because the dam holding it cannot be trusted with its own design load. Locals fish beneath it. Residents downstream have told reporters plainly that in a big earthquake, you never know if it's going to hold. The permanent fix remains in the assessment stage, while the city weighs rehabilitation against replacement across its whole aging portfolio of dams. Number 6 is a dam so overdue for repair that the solution for now is pretending it's smaller than it is. We're at the halfway point, and here's the pattern you've probably already noticed. Every dam so far got its warning years before anything went wrong. The back half of this list is where the warnings get older, the price tags get bigger, and the number of people downstream climbs past 1 million. If that's the kind of thing you want to keep learning about, hit subscribe now. It's free. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells me to keep making these. Number 5. Mojave River Dam, California. This is the dam that was rated safe for almost half a century, until someone actually ran the numbers. The Army Corps of Engineers built the Mojave River Dam in 1971 to catch flash floods coming out of the San Bernardino Mountains before they could reach the desert cities beyond. For decades, it sat in the Corps' low-risk category. Then, in 2019, a modern risk assessment moved it from low straight to high urgency of action. The finding: in an extreme storm, water could overtop the earthen dam, and an earthen dam that overtops can erode and fail. Downstream, along the Mojave River, sit Hesperia, Apple Valley, Victorville, Barstow, roughly 300,000 people in the potential flood path, in communities where almost no one has ever thought of flooding as their problem, because it's the desert. The Corps itself noted the dam has never experienced spillway flow or been significantly loaded by a flood in its entire life. That is precisely the problem. It has never been tested, and the analysis says the test could break it. Since 2019, the response has been interim risk reduction measures, monitoring, and public coordination, while the permanent structural fix remains a project for the future. Number 5 is a dam in the driest place on this list. Waiting on a storm everyone agrees is unlikely, and no one can promise won't come. Number 4, Anderson Dam, California. Now we get to Silicon Valley's empty lake. Anderson Dam held the largest reservoir in Santa Clara County, water supply for one of the wealthiest regions on Earth. Around 2009, seismic studies revealed that in a major earthquake on the nearby Calaveras Fault, the dam could slump and release a wall of water, a failure scenario capable of inundating communities from San Francisco Bay all the way south toward Monterey Bay, straight through the heart of Silicon Valley. Regulators restricted the reservoir. A retrofit was planned. Then it slipped. New trace faults were discovered under the site. Standards tightened after Oroville's spillway crisis in 2017. Costs ballooned past $500 million. And in 2020, federal regulators lost patience and ordered the reservoir drained down to roughly 3% of capacity, where it has sat ever since, a giant lake bed with a puddle at the bottom, in a state that measures its droughts in years. The retrofit's main construction, once planned to start in 2022, is now scheduled to break ground in early 2027, nearly 2 decades after the danger was identified, with completion stretching into the 2030s. Number 4 is the region that invents the future, living next to a dam stuck in 2009. Number 3, Bluestone Dam, West Virginia. Here is the longest-running repair job in this countdown, a fix that has taken longer than it took to build the interstate highway system. Bluestone Dam has stood on the New River near Hinton since 1949, and it protects 165,000 people and more than $20 billion in property downstream, including much of Charleston and the Kanawha Valley. In 1998, a safety evaluation using updated worst-case flood scenarios found the dam could not be trusted to survive the storms. Modern engineering says are possible. So the Army Corps launched what it now calls a mega project. Hundreds of steel anchors drilled as deep as 220 feet into bedrock to pin the dam down. A rebuilt stilling basin armored with 16.5-foot steel-clad baffle blocks. A 10-foot thick slab of reinforced concrete replacing fractured rock at the dam's toe. The price is roughly $965 million. The timeline is more than 25 years and counting, with completion now projected around 2030, meaning a child born the year the alarm was raised will be in their 30s before the fix is finished. To be fair to Bluestone, the work never stopped. It has prevented billions in flood damage even mid-surgery. But the assignment was clear in 1998. And in 2026, the dam is still on the operating table. Number 3 is proof that in America, even when we do fix a dam, it takes a generation. Number 2, Hodges Dam, California. And now, the dam where the fix didn't just stall, it collapsed on paper. Hodges Dam was built in 1918, north of San Diego, and it is one of the oldest concrete dams still standing in the state. By 2019, regulators rated it poor. In 2022, workers lowering the reservoir to seal cracks found something worse. A hole, then more cracks, then more defects, each discovery outpacing the repairs. In early 2023, the state ordered the water level dropped for safety, around 12 billion gallons released down the river, and weeks later delivered the lowest rating that exists: unsatisfactory condition, extremely high hazard, with communities like Rancho Santa Fe and Solana Beach in the inundation path, and more than 1,000 people at risk. The plan was a brand new dam, about 100 feet downstream, priced at $275 million, done by 2034. That was the promise. Then in 2025, the estimate was rerun, $500 million to $700 million. The regional water authority that had pledged half the money pulled out, and the city announced it would now evaluate alternatives to full replacement, which is the official way of saying the plan is dead and there is no new one. So today, a 108-year-old dam with the worst safety rating California can give sits above growing suburbs, mostly drained, cut off from the water system it was built to serve, with no funded fix and no firm date. Number 2 is the dam where supposed to be fixed became supposed to be replaced, became we'll get back to you. Number 1, Whittier Narrows Dam, California, and the most overdue dam in America by the measure that matters most, sits in the middle of Los Angeles County with more than 1 million people below it. Whittier Narrows Dam was built in 1957, where the San Gabriel River and the Rio Hondo squeezed through a gap in the hills east of downtown Los Angeles. A state highway runs across its crest, parks and ball fields spread out at its base. And in 2016, the Army Corps of Engineers put it in the agency's highest risk category, very high urgency of action, after concluding that in an extreme storm, the dam could fail, unleashing catastrophic flooding across 25 cities and putting up to 1.1 million people in harm's way. Pico Rivera, a city of tens of thousands, sits directly at the foot of it. The repair project that followed came with a clear promise: construction beginning in fall 2021, completion expected in 2026. This year, the year you're watching this. Instead, the official completion date has slid to 2031, a full 15 years after the Corps declared the dam a very high risk to more people than live in 8 entire U.S. states. The work is real. Contracts are moving, utilities are being relocated, parks and Little League fields are being closed for staging. But every winter until it's done, atmospheric river storms roll in off the Pacific, the reservoir does its job, and 1.1 million people go to sleep downstream of a dam their own government rated among the most urgent safety problems it owns. One deadline ago, and counting. Number 1 is the biggest broken promise on this list, measured in people. So here is what this list is really about. Not panic. None of these dams is expected to fail on a clear day, and the engineers watching them are not asleep. It's about a gap. The average American dam is now 64 years old. More than 2,200 high-hazard dams are officially in poor condition. The repair bill for the nation's non-federal dams alone has been estimated near $76 billion. And between the report that says fix it and the ribbon cutting that says fixed, there is a stretch of years, 5, 10, 25, where nothing stands between the water and the town except concrete that everyone has agreed, in writing, is not good enough. Lake Lure held. Rapidan didn't. The other 8 are still in that stretch right now. Tonight, doing the one thing an old dam does best, holding for one more season a promise somebody else was supposed to keep.